Out at Texans training camp before they start day 4, Daniell Hunter spoke after practice 3, and honestly, I got really excited about Daniell Hunter, just him being kind of a professor of the pass rush, but also the influence he can have on young guys like Will Anderson. First question was, how does he just feel about being in this D'Amico Ryans defense?
I mean, in the past, I came from just a reading defense. They really don't want me to read. They just want me to go here. So, get at it.
You like that more?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have to think about anything. I just go. And I feel like I've been reading for about 8-9 years, and I feel like they want me to not do that and just go. Play football. Don't think about nothing else.
Wouldn't every defensive lineman want that?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what you want. Playing a defensive end, you just want to go. No reading, none of that. You just go.
I've grown tired of reading myself. I would suggest audiobooks to Daniell Hunter, but seriously, the read and react element. So if you're a read and react defense, that means as a defensive lineman, you're in your stance and you are reacting to what the offensive lineman does. You're reading run and pass. So a lot of times you read the offensive lineman, your feet haven't moved all that far, and then you transition into your pass rush. And it's not as easy, frankly, to get deep into the backfield that way. In D'Amico's defense, he just wants those defensive ends careening off the edges. And they'll read the run, but they get a step or two ahead of somebody that's in a read and react defense. It puts more pressure on the linebackers, but from a defensive line's perspective, you can just create havoc. And it does take some time to adjust to that. It sounds simple, right? I actually talked to D'Amico after practice about this the other day because we've seen this with a lot of guys when they go from a read and react defense to being unleashed. It takes a little while to realize you're not going to get slapped on the hand with a ruler when you just go and give in to your natural tendencies, which is to attack. So you've got to do it with a certain level of discipline. I don't worry about Daniell Hunter lacking in that regard, but we might see a different version of Daniell Hunter than we've ever seen before because he has freakish athleticism, and I'm really excited to see what all of that kind of untapped and unrestrained can do. Next question was simply about the importance of using your hands in the pass rush.
I feel like being a defensive lineman, I feel like that's what it's all about. Your hands, your eyes, and your feet. And if you don't use your hands, you're going to get blocked. So I try to teach them simple things, nothing too crazy, that littlest movements could get you far. Beating a guy and then getting you to the quarterback. Being able to take his game from here to here. So you can't play defensive line without your hands or your eyes. So I was just teaching them simple stuff, him and everybody on the D-line.
Yeah, and look, that's something that Will learned last year. In college, he ran around like a bat out of hell, and he used his athleticism and his hustle to make a lot of plays, but he learned and got better as the year went along to use his hands, because you can be the strongest dude in the world. If you don't get your hands in the right spot, it doesn't really help you all that much. And I'm really glad that he mentioned the eyes, because that's something that I think a lot of defensive line coaches might not really appreciate, is just how important it is to have your eyes on the target. Whether you're trying to punch an offensive lineman's chest, whether you're trying to wipe his hands away, your eyes lead your hands and your feet. Your hands and your feet are going to go where your eyes go. And likewise, your feet go where your hands go as a defensive lineman. Tying all those three things together it's one of those little nuances of the game, I think, that sometimes your fellow players can point it out and coach it. Same way like Alex Bregman was the one that figured out that Hunter Brown should be throwing a sinker, and that flipped Hunter Brown's career around. That leadership from older guys on the team, it goes a long, long way. It's not just pep talks and everything. It's this technical stuff, the day-to-day, and not to mention just watching Daniell Hunter work. Next question was about Daniell and how he can help out Will Anderson with the mental side of the game.
The biggest thing is you just got to keep chopping wood. In a season, you'll have 1,000 reps, but you get 10 sacks, that's a great season. So pass rushing and getting a sack, it's not all about getting a sack every game or every down. It's you got to keep working for it. You got to keep chopping wood, and eventually you'll get through. So if you focus on the little things, your step, your hands, your eyes, eventually you'll keep building. So.
All right, I'll go back to baseball again. Think about that. You've got 1,000 reps in a season. 10 sacks is good. That's a 1% success rate if all you're worried about is getting sacks. So if you're a batter and you're batting, what would that be, a 10 batting average, a .010 batting average? It would be pretty damn depressing. So you do have to look at it as Yes, sacks are the way we measure guys over time, but week in and week out, it's pressures, it's tackles in the run game. It's just simply when you're not the main focal point of a blitz doing your role there, and you measure success that way, and then the sacks come. It's all that talk that we always hear about with process. Next, he was asked about just in this style of defense, how does that attacking style of play complement the linebackers and defensive backs?
What do you think that it says about your teammates that now that your new responsibility is just, hey, we just want you to go and get the quarterback? What does it say about that back end as far as the linebackers and the defensive backs are concerned?
I mean, it all comes hand in hand. Us doing our part, it helps the back end, speeding up the quarterback. And our, defensive line, our job is to affect the quarterback. So we're affecting the quarterback. We'll have him throw a fast pass or something right into our DBs, waiting for him to make a bad throw. So at the end of the day, we all work together. Our job is to affect the quarterback. We mess him up, then DBs will be in the right spot in order for them to make plays.
And that is just going back to the structure of this defense. Look, D'Amico is going to play a lot of zone because he loads up on defensive linemen. I'll be surprised if they don't sign like 8 more defensive linemen by the end of this practice. He just keeps stockpiling them. But in doing so, what you do is, you get the ball out, you create bad passes, and then those defensive backs behind you can sit with their eyes on the quarterback in his zone and pounce. And remember, in this defense, we don't call it a soft spot, we call it a kill zone. So you can come up. Jimmy Ward, very, very good at exploiting the kill zone. That ball comes out quick. It comes out where the defensive back expects it would, where what some people might call it a soft zone. Jimmy Ward sees that as a kidney laceration waiting to happen. So that's the fun part about stockpiling all these defensive linemen and Will Anderson continuing to improve, is that hopefully it results in more turnovers. You just create more opportunities for those guys behind you to just flat out go to work and eat. Next question, he was asked simply about just how do you block out all the noise and expectations from the outside?
Coming into training camp, how were you able to block out some of the noise and the expectations that you're hearing from, people saying that you all should AFC Championship, make the Super Bowl, things like that?
Oh, I deal with that every year, man. It's like expectations and goals. You just got to come in and lock in what we got here every day, day by day, practice by practice, step by step. What matters is what's going on inside our building. It's never about what's going on there. So we're all action. We don't really talk about like what we're going to do. Just get in here and just work day in, day out.
Yeah, look, when it comes to like trash talk, for instance, you talk about being quiet and going to work. A lot of the trash talk's done on the outside, the skill positions. There's not that much trash talk between offensive and defensive linemen. I mean, you got your outliers and you got your guys that talk a lot. But I remember one time we were playing the Bengals, and Willie Anderson, just one of the best offensive tackles I've ever played against, was on that Bengals team. But Gary Walker and I were inside, and Gary and I were putting it on their guards and center. We were having a good stretch, and one of their offensive linemen was talking all kinds of crap, which is weird. You don't get it a lot. And I remember once is Willie between snaps on it was probably like 3rd and 17 because we just had a tackle for a loss. He goes, you motherfuckers are talking because you're scared. That's why you're talking. Shut your fucking mouths up and go to work. So I feel like Daniell Hunter might not phrase it the same way. He doesn't seem like that kind of guy. Willie, and frankly, I think Willie was pretty pissed. I don't think he would normally phrase things like that. It's all about just being a professional and going to work. I was sitting out there after practice on Saturday, and I was just looking at the defensive linemen filter off, looking at the young guys, looking at Marcus Harris, and then looking at the older guys like Danico Autry and Daniell Hunter and Jerry Hughes. And I was a little bit jealous. Like, honestly, it's a really cool D-line room. They got the right kind of young guys. I mean, Will Anderson, you couldn't ask for more in terms of a combination of physical skill, but right kind of attitude and drive. And then older guys that can just, pour all their wisdom into those young guys. So, no pads at practice today, but I'm looking forward to a good one. Got to still continue to try to figure out this damn kickoff return. I'm Seth Payne, played for the Texans a long, long time ago. Now I have this YouTube channel and Sports Radio 610. I do every morning from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Please like, subscribe, share, all of those other things. Everybody have a great day.